Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Mediation and Beyond YouTube video with today. I'm really honored to have all the way from Nairobi, Phylis Mbiu. She's a lawyer and is currently pursuing her Master's of Law from the University of East London. Phylis is also practicing professional mediator and has also participated in training in mediation cohorts. She specializes in family mediation, land dispute, and corporate mediation, and is a member of Dispute Resolution Hub in Kenya. So Phylis, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm super excited to have you. I know last time we tried, technology was not our friend. So thank you for trying to come on again.
You're welcome.
So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is because I'm very interested in mediation on a global level, and I'm also interested in women's experience with mediation on a global level. So before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, first, I'd like to know a little bit about somebody, and I wanted to know what got you involved in mediation and law in the beginning anyways, like why not become a doctor?
All right. Thank you for having me. I think I loved law since I was a young girl. I knew I wanted to become a lawyer, and when I finished my high school studies, I knew I had to go for it. I always have loved peace since I was young. Therefore, the thought of helping people achieve peace and resolve disputes was a good thing for me. And then when I heard of mediation, it was in line with my passion. Therefore, I trained for mediation, and immediately I finished, I knew I wanted to practice it. And
where did you hear about mediation? Did you hear about it in law? I didn't mean to interrupt. Did you hear about mediation in law school?
Yes, I did. Yes. So I heard of mediation in the course of training for my law degree. So I trained for mediation and immediately started practicing. I got a chance to participate in training in the University, African Nazarene University, where I was studying law. And I co-trained with the trained members there to train other mediators. And that gave me experience in dealing with mediation more. And through training, I got so much knowledge. Through the study, I got so much knowledge to get more skills, even in practice right now.
And you said in your bio that you sent me, you specialize in family mediation. So what got you interested in, because family mediation can be, obviously it's full of a lot of emotion, people going, unraveling their marriages or child custody things. How do you deal with that in Kenya? Like, do they have, so are there divorce attorneys? Do they have mediation? Like, how does it work there? Because I'm in the States, so I know how it works in the States, but how does it work in Kenya?
All right. So when cases are filed in court, they're asked whether they have tried alternative dispute resolution methods. So for many families, mediation has been the option. Therefore, most of them look for mediators even before going to court. But then if they go to court and then they are asked that, they then step down and look for an alternative method of resolution, and mostly that is mediation. So there are court annex mediation. That is when they are referred to the court, when they went to court first. But there is the private practice where they look for the mediator directly. Therefore, you get to resolve the issue before they go to court. And most of the cases have been successful so far.
So then I would imagine you don't have a lot of what we would call high conflict divorce cases, so that where you have a lot of trials, like parents going to trial over money or custody cases. Do you have a lot of that?
There are actually, there are many of them, but the fact that the court encourages mediation, the fact that when they go to court, they're asked if they've they've tried mediation and other dispute resolution methods, it makes them open up a little bit to get to the table to discuss during the mediation session.
So it's almost like you go to court and you're offered mediation first, and then if you can't do that for whatever reason, but is it mandatory? It's not mandatory that they have to do mediation. So it's just an option.
No, it's not mandatory. Yeah.
Just an
It's
option.
an option that is encouraged by the court.
And do you find that most people, is it a small percentage that use that have high conflict divorce, or is it a larger number? Do most cases settle with mediation, would you say?
Actually, yes. Most cases are resolved through mediation, and it has really helped the backlog of cases even in the court. And so the mediation is currently growing so fast here because most courts are now getting to understand the benefits and the fact that mediation is faster and even cheaper.
Yes.
So most cases are able to be resolved during the mediation session.
Now, just to take a little turn for a second, do you find that there are many women attorneys in your country, or is it still pretty much a male-dominated field, would you say?
The women are coming up fast.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, because even in my class when I was studying for my degree, and even now in my master's class, there are more ladies than men in class, which is quite encouraging, I would say. But then if you look at what we would call the most senior counsels here, most of them are men. But it is encouraging that now more people are studying. So we know in the near future, more women will be able to practice law.
Would more of the, I guess what we would call judges, and you would have, I guess you would have judges, or do you what we have judges, would you call them judges in your?
Yeah, they're judges. They're judges.
Are they more male? Or?
Yes. More judges are men.
Okay, so then I guess with more women coming in, then in the future, we'll see more women in those roles. Do you find that women are I know there's more women coming in, but do you find that it's being in law as a woman, do you find it easy?
Not really, it's not. First of all, over here, I think that with more experience, that is when you are able to navigate your way through the career. But then at the beginning, it can be quite hard. But understandably, good things take time. So
yes.
it's still okay.
In any, right? In any, that is true. I mean, but there's a difference between anything taking time and then things being harder because you're female, right? So like the rest of us, everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone's right. But I think there is a little difference between being female and being harder as opposed to just starting at the bottom because we're new, right? We're new to the field. And you know the difference. And you know the difference.
Yeah, I do know the difference. But then I think the challenge would come when you're trying to, navigate your way when you're young, and when you're looking for a job, there are men who would, make advances, want to take advantage of you. That would be the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but with persistence, you make your way through.
You make your way through. I'm glad to hear there are more women in your class. I'm glad to hear there's more women making their way in the field of mediation and in law. I'm glad to hear that there'll be more of a future for women having higher positions. so that in the long run, we'll have less of a struggle for younger girls coming up and not having to deal with some of the challenges that you're speaking to with, you know, harassment. And that's on a global level. I don't know any country that women don't have to, unfortunately, deal with that. And so, and again, and what you talked about at the very beginning, it's like, you know, let's just have a peaceful, you were attracted to peace. Let's have a peaceful existence on a global level. You also talked about in your bio that you're, you do land dispute in corporate for mediation as well. Are those areas, do you find it easier to do mediation in corporate and land dispute? I know, you know, divorce can be filled with lots of emotion in a different way because it's intimate. It's more, you know, there's more vulnerability going on with the clients. With land and corporate, sometimes it carries a different set of emotions. Do you find mediation to be easier to work with? Do you like it differently? What are your thoughts on that?
I think probably corporate would have less emotions, you know, and it will be easier because people are negotiating mostly on behalf of others. It is easier when it's corporate. But I think the value of land here, because most land is ancestral, so people really hold their land dearly. When there's a dispute concerning land, it is much or less more equal to the emotions involved in divorce cases and you know, family disputes, because people really put in a fight to protect their land. And then with the issue of women being able to inherit now, it's even more, you know, the conflict is even more visibly more right now, because you know, more women want their land, and traditionally land has been considered to be owned by, you know, the male.
Oh, that's a good point. Traditionally, it has been owned by men, right? Now women would like to own the land. They're not going to give it up so easily. And you know, you make another good point. That again, my ignorance, that land is ancestral, right? There's a lot of generations, I bet, where you want to hold on to that property too, right? Where I think here, I personally, and it might be my personal bias, don't look at so much land as having so much legacy, at least where I am. Where so I can see that. So you're right. It would probably be more in alignment with the divorce, where there's that emotional tie to that. And so how do you handle the emotional pieces? Do you remain that neutral? Do you find that difficult to remain that neutral when you have all that energy going around with people?
I know. I actually think I am a very emotional person, but then I am able to, you know, empathize with my clients. And recently I realized that when I start with cohorts, with as opposed to starting with a joint session, it works better because you get to, you know, help the person understand their emotions, put it in perspective. So by the time we are seated for the joint session, it becomes easier. So having the caucus at the beginning of the mediation has been quite helpful in my experience.
Yeah, so you use the caucus to kind of get a sense of where each party's at.
Yes.
And then before you bring them together.
Yes.
And what do you see as for yourself? I mean, from your perspective, what do you see as any of the trends in mediation? Do you see mediation as growing, or do you see mediation as kind of flatlining? What do you see as mediation? Do you see it as something that's going to be continuing to grow in the future?
Yeah, I think mediation is growing because once someone gives a chance to mediation and then it works, they're able to, you know, even come back. I have seen clients come back for other sessions. When they go and have other conflicts, they come back. So the fact that right now it is given a chance, it just needed a chance. So when it is given a chance, people are able to know that this actually works. It's not a, recently people thought that mediation is just, a normal discussion. So when they come to the table and it actually works, they're able to come back and even employ their self-mediation skills to preserve their own relationship. Yeah.
That's so interesting because I find that people actually learn something when they do a mediation. They actually like, oh, right? They can learn something themselves and use it. But you do get repeat business because they do have other problems that they can't solve. And they do look at the mediators like, let's just go talk to Phylis because she can help us solve this problem. And that's really what it is. It's keeping the peace, like you said, and just simply problem solving, right? It can be used across the board, right? On so many different things. In rounding this out, I'd like to ask people, what would you like your legacy to be? What would you like to leave your mark in the world as? What would you like your legacy to be?
In very few words, it would be helping people. I think everything I do, everything I get, I try and empower myself to be that person that people can come to when they need help. So any help that I can, give any person, I would want to be remembered for helping people.
I think there's probably no greater legacy than to know that you help somebody, which in turn then helps somebody else. It has that big domino effect. And if people wanted to get in touch with you, Phylis, how would they best be able to get in touch with you?
I would give my email. My email is Phylis Mbiu 311@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, Phylis Mbiu, and also through LinkedIn @Phylis Mbiu.
All right, I'm going to put that in the notes below in the details of our conversation about how to get in touch with you at your Gmail and on Facebook. And if people would like to reach out to Phylis just to have a conversation, just to get in touch with her for some information and how to solve some problems and solve some conflicts for some mediation, you can help people from all over, right? I mean, you can help from all over. And I think that's the beauty of technology. I think that's the beauty of mediation, that we can help people from all over. They can pick our brain from anywhere in the world. And I love that. And so I appreciate you coming on today. I appreciate you taking the time to tell us about yourself. And I look forward to having future conversations with you. Good luck finishing up your Master's of Law from the University of East London. You've been such a pleasure to have a conversation with, and I'm so grateful that I got to learn some things about you, about your country, and about your passion for mediation. Thank you, Phylis.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure too.
Thank you. You have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.